Hello and welcome to anyone who's going to watch us for this Arts Award embedding into delivery session. We're so pleased that you're going to join us. My name's Jane and I'm an Arts Award advisor. I'm a trainer and I've previously been a moderator for about 8 years, and I sit on the support panel for Arts Award. So that's all the free support that you can get as an Arts Award advisor through Trinity College. And I've been working with the Customs House and Culture Bridge North East on their Arts Award strategic programme. And so we're delighted to be joined today by Emma and Rachel from Bloomin Art and James from balletLORENT, and they're going to talk us through their good practice Arts Award delivery and how they've embedded it into their organisations. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Emma and Rachel. And hopefully, do you just want to say hi, Emma and Rachel? And it will.
So, hello, I'm Emma and this is Rachel. We are a community arts organisation based in Hartlepool, and we specialise in kiln glass, textiles and sculptural pieces.
So whilst the PowerPoint's coming on, a lot of our projects use the Arts Award and it's embedded into the delivery. So I can see here it's on now.
Yeah. Generally, our projects work to a live brief, usually result in an exhibition or an installation within a particular setting or venue, or they link with festivals and events. And like Rachel said, we incorporate the Arts Award into as many of our projects as possible, and we tend to build projects around the Arts Award framework, which is so much easier than trying to shoehorn the Arts Award into something afterwards. The majority of our work with Arts Award and projects tends to be around short-term 3 to 6 week projects within a primary or secondary school, or one-day delivery at a festival. So we're going to talk about those two different approaches today and give you 2 different examples. So the first example is, if Jane clicks. First example is St Aidan's Primary School. This is a primary school that's based in Hartlepool. We'd worked with them before, and they commissioned us to create a glass installation for their school hall. And the idea was that this installation would be representative of the school values. So we saw the value in actually building a bigger project around this and incorporating the Arts Awards. So we sought some extra funding from ward councils to be able to run a 6-week project and embed the Discover Arts Award within that. We do often tend to deliver the Discover and Explore Arts Award generally just because of the length of the projects that we deliver and the age of the young people that we work with. So this particular project was a Discover Arts Award. Like I said, it was a 6-week project and it was for years 2 to 6. So it was really nice because actually there was a selection from each year group and they supported each other and worked well together. The younger ones had a lot more confidence, less inhibitions, and just got on with it, whereas the older ones were then able to support the younger ones with some of the other work. So it was really nice. We built the Arts Award into the delivery of the project. We built the project around like the different elements of the Arts Award, which is really nice because it introduces young people to artistic terminology and processes and just thinking and the understanding that art is everywhere. And actually we really love starting with that element of the Arts Award because the realization that, you don't have to be able to draw or paint to be an artist, and there are so many different career paths out there. It's a bit of a light bulb moment, and it can really help at the beginning of a project to help build confidence with the young people. They don't feel like they're on the back foot before they've started, because they don't feel like they've got the ability to draw. So that's really nice. Throughout this project, pupils were introduced to the process of thinking like an artist, taking inspiration from their surroundings, really exploring their school values, undertaking research. Rachel is a glass artist, so they got to interview Rachel and really explore her career as a glass artist. And then they kind of, and the joy that they have of exploring different processes before moving on to their final piece of creation. So they feel that they really have an understanding of their final piece because they've already explored and done their testing, which was really nice for us to be able to do. The sharing criteria for this project was lovely, because although there was a formal kind of opening of the installation, you can see the bottom two images there are of it being installed. There was a formal opening of the installation, but actually the whole school were invited in to come in. The young people selected their favorite pieces that they'd done, and they had their sketchbook, and the whole school took turns in to come in and talking to the pupils and learning all about the project. And it was a really lovely way to cover the explore and the share criteria within that. And that was that project. So that was kind of that's one way that we deliver. And then the other way that we deliver is at festivals and events. So unlike going into a school where you've kind of got a lesson plan or a workshop plan to be able to do it all kind of in that one area, you really need the buy-in of the festival, so that the artists understand that young people are going to be doing their award and want to come and talk to them about their practice and maybe interview them, so that it really enriches the experience for the young people taking part.
Going to talk a bit about different models that we've used at festivals, and I suppose the positive and negative about each one. So at Festival of Thrift a few years ago, we had a day, and we popped up and we had everything that we needed in that one spot to be able to complete the Arts Award. We knew that people would sign up and be encouraged to go around the festival and ask the audience, and not the audience, artists questions, but we knew that the actual come back and deliver and check could be a bit of a problem. So we knew that if people came back and they'd missed certain elements of the criteria, we could ask them. If they hadn't done a workshop, we could do a workshop on site with them. And during that day, we actually got 60 Arts Awards. Another approach was at Wintertide Festival, and it was a bookable session, and it was throughout the whole day. So it was a bit more of a programmed element. So people came along with their adult. They were introduced to the Arts Award with a talk, with a presentation, and were able to interact with the group a bit more deeply. The day then had an art trail, so we took people around the site and talked about existing sculptures in the area, talked about performances. We had different exhibitions. We visited a historic site, and the people really did engage. And I think the depth of understanding was really empowering for everybody. They also took part, they selected a workshop to take part in, and where everybody came together at the end and had a sharing session. So I suppose the quality and the impact of the art on those participants was a bit deeper and more embedded, whereas the numbers that we had were fewer. So it kind of, that model, I love that model, but it's, I suppose, the impact in the way that you spread that out when you can get a lot of numbers through in a day. It's looking at the pros and cons. And the most recent Arts Award in a day was linked with Stockton International Riverside Festival, but this was linked to a larger project. So the project was over 2-year period. And the last year, if we go to the next slide, Jane, please. So it was a Rivers of the World and Rivers of Hope project, which linked with Thames Festival Trust and Surf. It was always also linked to the British Council, so we connected classrooms with other parts, so with Lebanon. So we represented the Tees Valley and we connected with 18 schools across all boroughs. So we worked traditionally going into schools and passing on skills and creating artwork that was then presented in London
and Stockton.
London and Stockton. And on the left-hand side, the artwork was then created into flags. It was outside the Tate Modern on boards. It went to London. The River of Hope element are in the parade, Jubilee parade, and also then digital images were then projected onto the Flannels building in London as well. So the impact of the artwork that the young people were involved in was magnificent. And then everybody who took part in the workshops actually achieved their Arts Award while they were doing it. To kind of enhance the Arts Award offer, Surf then let us pop up at the festival. So we were able to engage and I suppose encourage people who were there. We didn't have an activity ourselves. We were encouraging people to go and talk to artists, to go and watch performances, but take part in performances, to actually do some printing and just talk to people about what inspired them and what their journey was to become an artist. And I think that's the whole project was over 400 Arts Awards that we delivered, and it was that's the biggest number in one project that we've been able to get through. But
that was like over a kind of the summer term period in school, and then delivery at the festival as well. So we were really proud that we've been able to reach so many people and deliver so many Arts Awards. And it was really special to be able to combine those two different ways that we do it. So they're like the kind of traditional going into the classroom and doing it that way. And then just the joy of people just happening upon us at festivals, don't know anything about the Arts Award, but then get really excited, especially the parents. And the way we do that is that you can see the picture there of their logbook. So they get the logbook, we talk them through that, and we send them off and then they come back and we check the logbook and make sure that all the criteria has been met. If there's any area that hasn't, then we go through it with them and we make sure that that is that area has been, we're happy that that area has been covered before then they post it in our little post box. And we've gathered their addresses so that then their certificates then get sent out to them in the post, which again is lovely because we always say it takes about 6 weeks average turnaround for the certificates to come. So by then, a lot of the young people have forgotten that they did an Arts Award while they were at a festival doing something. And then it's a really lovely surprise when this certificate comes through the post for them. So that was a really lovely project for us. And there's a kind of just 2 examples of the way that we have successfully delivered and continued to deliver the award.
Thank you so much, Emma and Rachel. That's great. Thank you for doing that. We will maybe go over to James, and James can do his presentation, and then we might have some questions that come up between us that we might just have a look at, if that's okay. So James, it's over to you.
Hello, yes, my name is James. I'm the Education Projects Manager for balletLORENT. We are a dance theatre company based here in Newcastle, and we tour work nationally to theatres across the country. I want to talk to you a little bit about this. We've been doing Arts Award probably since about 2016 in different ways. I want to talk about 2 specific projects. I'm just going to bring up a little slideshow with some images. this will work. So I want to talk to you about two projects that we do. One is our what we call our community cast program. So since 2012, we have been creating and staging family theatre productions, and we have been involving young children from local communities in those productions in each place that we go to. Newcastle, we work quite extensively with groups of children across the city through schools, and then each city that we go to, we work with local school children. We recruit children into our community cast wherever we're touring. And it's about 5 or 6 years ago that our model was kind of evolving and developing, and we felt that we had the capacity to introduce Arts Award Discover into this project as well. So for the 10 or 12 children that were performing with us, once they've been selected from a school, they would have a weekend of rehearsals with us. They would be working with our professional dancers. They would be having stage time, dress rehearsals, and 2 or 3 performances in their local theatre. And although that was an amazing experience on its own, it is an amazing experience on its own for those children, we felt that the Arts Award would really complement that as well. So we decided to introduce the Arts Award Discover. We worked with those children through working through their logbooks during the time that they were with us. And I think because of the kind of activity they were doing, it absolutely ticked the box. This is Arts Award. They are absolutely achieving, they're researching artists, they're taking part in really high quality activity, and they're sharing their activity with audiences, with paying audiences in theatres. So it really complemented one another. We trialled it out, I think it was in Wales in 2016 or 2017, when we were performing in Bangor down there at the Pontio Theatre. And it really worked. It was really successful. And a bit like, I think as Rachel was just saying, it was the kind of project that once we completed, we'd said our farewells to the children. 6 or 7 weeks later, they then also get a certificate in the post. And as a kind of added thing, it kind of reminds them of the wonderful experiences they've had on stage performing with the company. So yeah, it's been a really positive experience. It's something we now embed right across all of our family touring programs. I'd say we're probably working with 80 to 100, maybe 110 children a year through this model. And I think for us, it's just about thinking, what activity is it that we are doing? We are already working with children. We're giving them an incredible experience, and we can really bring Arts Award into that project without having to create a new project or invent a new project to be able to support those children. So it's really about embedding the two things together, and it's been hugely successful, I think, so far. And these are just some of the gorgeous pictures of kids from all over the country over the past 10 years or so that have been working with us. That's the Rumpelstiltskin children. The children that we work with can be as young as 5 or 6, and they can be as old as 13 in some cases. But we offer the Arts Award to all of them, and whether they choose to complete that or not is up to them. But we'll give them absolutely all the support we can to go through the award. Some wonderful children, and a lot of these children now have actually gone. Well, some of these children have actually gone on to careers in the arts. Some of them have gone on to dance colleges, and have actually. I think we had one who actually came back as an apprentice for the company a few years ago. So some of these, for many of them, it's a really beginning to instill an interest, a lifelong interest in the arts. So that's one main project that we've been doing for several years now. The other project I want to talk about is this one, which I'm going to just quickly change the setting because this is running so quickly through. Change that and do it manually because it's running so quickly through the slides. Sorry, bear with me one moment. So this, our Creative Activity Pack project is a new project. We only started during the pandemic, actually, and we started it in response to feedback from families and schools looking for activities for children to do, partly during half terms and holidays, but also schools looking for activities that they could, creative activities that they could offer children to do whilst they were sort of homeschooling, as it were. So we developed what we called a creative activity pack, which you can see the book that we developed here. It's an A4 booklet, and it's full of all sorts of activities, from dance activities, warm-up ideas, information about behind the scenes information about the shows that we're creating. It's got information about set design, costume design, lighting design, all sorts of stuff in there. And there's tasks which happen throughout the activity book as well. And we presented these books in large boxes like this, which were full, which also had a craft pack in there, with tissue papers, with all sorts of craft materials that the children could use to effectively create their own costumes for a show, design their own costumes for a show, and build their own set for a show. The box turns into a set, and you'll see some pictures shortly about that. They had characters that they could cut out and colour in. They had all sorts of different things in there. We were trying to give as broad a range of activities as we possibly could, knowing that every child has a slightly different taste and slightly different interests, and we wanted to try and include as many of these young people as we could. We also, as I say, included lots of dance activity. We had links to videos online where our dancers were leading warm-ups or were playing characters from some of our shows that the children could join in with and play alongside us effectively. So all sorts of different things. I'm just going to move through some of these activities. We had a yoga sheet that children could learn simple exercises in there as well. And we did include Arts Award in this book as well. So we had an Arts Award log sheet, which as children were going through and learning about the company, learning about artists, they were able to fill this logbook in. And we started the project initially in Newcastle. We worked with 4 or 5 schools in the city in the first phase of the project. And all the children were able to see a film of one of our shows before we handed out these packs. When we were able to go into schools, we started to go in and delivering a dance workshop with the children, and we introduced what these creative packs were to them. We found that many of the schools were so excited by them that they actually started to do some of this work in school rather than allowing the children to take it home with them. The teachers wanted to be involved in this, and they could see the real benefits of it. You can see here just some of the work that the children came up with. This little boy put lights on his theatre box. He wanted to have his own little lighting design going on there. So the teachers started to incorporate it into some of the classwork. Some schools did allow children to take it home, and they were doing this during the weekends or evenings or in the holiday times and bringing it back into school. And I was going into some of these schools as well to work with the children and to see some of the amazing work that they'd come up with. After the Newcastle phase of the project, we tweaked the boxes slightly following feedback, but we decided to roll it out nationally as well to some of the venues that we were touring to with our show at the time, which was the Lost Happy Endings. So we worked in Hull, we worked in Kirkcaldy, and we worked in, I think it was Darlington as well. And again, similar model where we'd go in, all the children would either see a film or see a live show. They'd have a dance workshop from us, they'd have these boxes to work with, and we'd return almost for a celebration event at the end of a few weeks to celebrate the work that those children have done. This is just some of the feedback that we had from children. Teachers saying it gave them the opportunity to be creative, be successful, and to share their work. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for many of these children. Over the course of about 18 months, I think we worked with, we awarded somewhere around 600 Arts Award Discover certificates to children across the country. And we learned a huge amount about how these resource packs were used, what was effective, what wasn't effective. And it's certainly something that we want to embed this in future family shows that we create and when we tour. So we'll be looking at how we can kind of refine them, make them more streamlined, make them easier for the kids to engage with, where there's maybe bits that weren't being accessed as much, or making sure the Arts Award is absolutely clear that they really understand the instructions around that and they're being guided towards successfully completing their logbooks. And it's something that, having experimented again, piloted this project, we really feel this is something worth embedding. And I know a lot of arts organisations moved to online resources and creative packs in similar ways, particularly during the pandemic, as a way of still being able to engage and support young people to be creative during those times. So, I think there's a real benefit to kind of expanding and learning from the things that we learned around that and what things that we can continue to embed into our work. Yeah, so that's two of our very exciting projects that we ongoing projects. We do deliver some explore work as well, and we've recently become a bronze deliverer, and we're working with our Youth Academy children to try and get the first cohort through the bronze award. But it's the Discover area where we feel we'll really be able to kind of bring it into our work. It's absolutely part and parcel of what we do. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, James. It's just wonderful to hear about all the different work that's happening in balletLORENT and with Bloomin Art. And that's been really lovely for me to sit and listen to, actually, and watch, see all the wonderful photos there. So I suppose now is a bit of a chance either to ask each other questions. I mean, I have a couple for both of you, really. So my first question, I think, is what difference do you think that using Arts Award has made to your practice in your organisations? Feel free, if someone's ready to go, just jump in.
Mine, I think coming from like freelance artist and going through that phase of from concept to design to experimentation to development to then like creating something, it's to be able to introduce that at such a young age has been fundamental, I think. And it just, again, looking at the art is everywhere, it's an amazing tool just to open people's eyes, and you can just see the spark. There's something clicks and they start like just understanding the importance and the impact that art has on everybody and everything. So it's a magic kind of experience to kind of embed, and it's a really critical part of our organisation to look at career paths, to look at the future, to look at supporting people with ambition, raising aspirations. So
I think as well, it's lovely. Not everybody that we work with is, has that kind of academic mindset, and actually to go in and for them to feel that they're being recognised for their creative skills, their creative thinking. It's really special. Usually find that the teachers will say, like this particular child doesn't always engage or doesn't always, and they're the ones that really shine through. And it just feels really special to be able to offer a qualification that's nationally recognised to young people who often don't feel that they're actually the ones that are excelling in class. And that's really nice.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Emma and Rachel. James, do you have anything to add?
I think it's about the experiences that young people have when they work with us in the different ways are all very, very valuable. They're high quality experiences, and you can see the benefits and the impacts on young people. But being able to bring in the Arts Award, it adds just this extra layer to work, doesn't it? It allows yes, it brings in the qualification, it brings in a different level of thinking for the young people, where they can kind of think about, or reflective thinking, isn't it? Because they're doing their physical activities, but this is a chance to really reflect on what they're doing, and to unpick a little bit more of their learning process and their growing process through the work, particularly if you're working with them maybe over a longer period, and there's a real change in confidence or a real change in their art skill or dance skill. For them to be able to chart that and progress that, I think is a real benefit. And I think as an organisation, what we have, as we've done this more and more, it just becomes a second nature thing now. I think initially when we started doing this, we were maybe a bit worried about staff capacity or about finding the right language to deliver the Arts Award, or so many things that kind of pop into your mind about, are we going to be able to achieve this on top of everything else? But I think after a while of delivering, you find your model and you find what the efficient way of delivering something that works, and that when we build a project, this is going to sit right there with it, and it just kind of rolls out. So we've learned that as a company, we can do this within our capacity, and we can deliver it really well. And I think for other people out there to kind of, I think we've discussed this in some ways before, but to look at the work you're delivering and see how this can support the work rather than worrying about it being additional, or how we're going to attach these two together.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to those of you who've been watching. Unless there's any further things you want to raise or ask of each other, we will maybe draw it to a close. Yeah, so I'm just going to stop recording.